Hello and welcome to another episode of unComplex. I'm your host Adriaan van Berg, unfortunately today alone without my great friend Lionel Pastor. We are here today in South Africa, Stellenbosch, beautiful oak trees behind us, and I'm privileged to have exceptional guests today. Matthew Cruz, probably you've seen him if you are local from South Africa on the TV. I think he's considered to be one of the top experts, in fact, in the solar and energy field, and also leading sales at IMPOWER. And then Marek Musiał, Director of International Affairs for Green Capital from Poland. Welcome to the show.
Welcome, Adriaan.
So the reason why I'm here, of course, I'm South African, having lived in Warsaw for almost 14 years now. And as being a representative of SolarSpy, we are expanding our market going to South Africa. And I'm very happy that in this journey, I've met these gentlemen. Please, Marek, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself? How did you come to South Africa?
No, it was, I would say, not directly to South Africa. First of all, I would say it was my journey with Africa starts with Tanzania. I was a regular, normal tourist. And when I put my feet on the ground in Tanzania, there was something in the air. And I don't know what is this, but it was some kind of, I would say, it was like a magic. You feel that you are at home. Maybe this is because of we as a people, we are from Africa. And then if you are coming here, you feel that it's your home and your genes are crazy. And then you are happy that you are here. So this was my first impression and I fall in love. And then it was always my dream to do something related with Africa, to come back home. And after, I would say, few years, I was listening to radio. There was an interview about the lady. And at this time, I was at work. It was a Friday, but the office was empty. So it was possible to listen the radio. I was sending some schedules to the TSO because I was working at this time as a spot trader in Poland. And it was nice, quiet office. And the lady told us about a project she had in Uganda. It was in Uganda, in Masindi. And it was orphanage house. And what I can say, I was really impressed that such a young lady, she decided to open this orphanage house. So, and it was in Africa. I mean, I cannot, I don't want to tell this, but for most of the people, Africa is really danger, and it's you don't know what to expect. And then you listen in the radio that lady, 27 years old, she start this project in Africa. So I was impressed. I sent her email and then we start chatting each other because I said I want to be involved and I want to help somehow. I mean, as much as I can. And then after 2 years, long story short, we decided with my wife that we will go there to see how this project works. And now we are every year there. We love this place, and every time when we are on the business conference or meeting discussion, I am selling these stories to everyone. And one guy called me a few months ago and he said, Marek, you told us many times that you love Africa, you love this continent. I have a guy, and this person is trying to invest into solar wind project in some countries in Africa. Maybe I will connect you together. And we have few meetings. Long story short, one day he called me and he said, Marek, will you join us? I said, yes, this is my dream. And now I am in the paradise. It's a beautiful place, amazing people, amazing opportunities. I would say, but also a lot of challenges regarding the energy sector. But I feel like at home because this is Africa. You feel this in the air, and then the sun, the food, the wine here, everything is amazing. So this is how I am. This is short version of my story, I would say.
Marek, you should actually become ambassador for South Africa.
Peace on everyone.
Yes.
I am from a small town in Poland, so now I'm from Limanowa. By the way, the most beautiful town in Poland. It's a secret because not a lot of people heard about this, but I am now ambassador of Limanowa. Nice, yeah, unofficial.
But exclusive. No other country or region you can take on.
Yeah. But Cape Town can be also my second career. Nice, that's cool. So this was how I'm here, and as I told you, Adrian, and I am repeating to everyone, I love this place. I love the. I mean, from going back to the business point of view, I like when I can start something from the scratch. I was 20 years I am 20 years in the sector, and I was lucky because I was working in a fantastic companies, and always there was a like university for me. First of all, kindergarten, start from the scratch, and more and more. But in most of the companies, they gave me the task, Marek, you should create trading company from the scratch, build the team, and think about the strategy, and it was fantastic. It was amazing. And here, I am here to do the same thing, but also what is even more amazing for me, I am in Africa. So it's different country, the continent which I love. But yeah, but let's see about what are the challenges and
Lots of challenges. Before we get to the challenges, some background of you, Matthew. Are you originally from here, and what's your path that you took to where you are now?
Great. Yeah, so I grew up in Cape Town, in the bottom end of South Africa. So bottom end of Africa. I studied at university here in Cape Town as well, at UCT, University of Cape Town. I studied mechatronics engineering, which is a combination of electronics and mechanical. And I was very fortunate to receive a bursary from Eskom. So that's then was a situation where they pay for my studies, but then I go and work for them for committed 4 years.
Can you please just explain who is Eskom as well? Because
This is the main the reason why I get to comment on the energy sector is Eskom is the utility of electricity in South Africa. It's the only utility. It's the government-owned utility. It's termed a state-owned entity, SOE. And so they provide, I think, 97% of the electricity within South Africa, and it's something like 80% of the electricity in the SADC region. So that we provide electricity to our neighbors, and our neighbors are all very small producers of electricity. So in terms of like the bottom half of Africa, we're pretty much the 80 Eskom. I say we because I still identify myself as being an Eskomite. We were pretty much 80% producers of electricity in the bottom half of Africa. So I was there for 11 years. I started off at a power station that was being demothballed or brought back to life. It had been kind of put on hold for 16 years, and it was seen that we would be running out of electricity at around 2007. So that was during my studies. I finished in 2009. What occurred is, for the first time, the nation ran out of electricity, and we had something called load shedding, where there's certain places in the country that don't receive electricity for a 2-hour or 4-hour period. And that's because we can't meet the demand of the country, and we didn't have enough generation to give electricity to everyone at the same time. So that put a large focus on the issues of the electricity sector and Eskom. And there was a big hiring drive. So they went to all the universities. They gave as many bursaries as they could to all the students, and I was lucky recipient of the bursary. And I then came into a context where an old power station was being brought back to life at huge expense because we didn't have enough electricity. So usually you wouldn't do that. You would kind of decommission a power station, sell it for parts, take it apart, and deconstruct it. But we were at great expense reconstructing it and making it run again. And it was also happened to be the first power station that was decommissioned in order to bring about the just energy transition, which is a fancy term, for the energy transition away from coal power to renewable energy. And the reason why there's a just word there, just energy transition, which is contextual to South Africa, is because it's recognized that you can't just switch from coal straight to renewable without taking into account the jobs and the mining sector and all the people that are currently involved in the energy sector that won't have jobs if you just do a quick shift. So there's reskilling that needs to happen of the people that are currently in the sector to be able to work in the renewable space where I currently am working. So interestingly, we decommissioned the power station and transitioned it to renewables in the context where we were having load shedding once again. So it was in 2022 when we were having lots of load shedding, power for only half the day in most places. And it was to align to the just energy investment plan that was implemented from foreign nations, Europe and America, providing funding to South Africa to go green. And we had committed to decarbonizing our energy sector. It's getting very complex in terms of my history, but this is kind of the overview of where things are at the moment. In our commitment to decarbonize our energy sector, we had a plan to decommission the power stations and then convert them into renewable energy hubs, each power station. And Commodity, where I started my career, was the first to undergo that. So I had a lot of context in terms of what's going on with the transition. My 11 years in Eskom was mostly focused on the mechanics of the power stations as an engineer. And my last 2.5 years was as a management consultant to the board and C-suites or executive suites of Eskom directly. So I've got a lot of context in terms of what's going on with Eskom, and I was advising them also how things are going to go going forward with the unbundling of Eskom and the democratization of the energy sector. As we could see, developed nations, every developed nation, Europe, America, has a democratized or a competitive energy market. They don't have just this one state entity anymore that just has all the control, and there's no competition bringing about excellence and efficiency. So South Africa knew that they had to democratize the energy sector. It was in 1998 recognized in a white paper from the government that we will go towards a developed nation state of the energy sector being competitive. And now there's a transition that needs to happen from Eskom being the only utility to them being a competitive space. So I at the same time wrote a dissertation about how that's going to go over the next 10 years. And on the back of that, I then had the opportunity to start providing commentary in the news and on media about what's going on in the energy sector. So at any point now that something happens, there's load shedding returning, or a new CEO is hired at Eskom, then they ask me, Matthew, what do you think about this? What's your commentary? Like, I try and get the truth with referencing publicly available data. I'm not a whistleblower, but reference publicly available data about what's kind of actually going on in the energy sector.
This reminds me of, on a side note, very light topic, but actually not that light. It's quite a difficult one. In Poland during time communism, there were these jokes that they say that Lenin is everywhere. It was such big propaganda. And the joke was, you open the fridge and even there you see Lenin. I think you've become like this. If you switch on the TV, it's Matthew. If you open the fridge, it's Matthew talking about the energy in a positive way, of course.
Yeah.
But when you've been talking about the transition from coal, I think it's correlates quite well with what Marek especially has been talking about a lot that has happened in Poland. Maybe Marek, you can give us some historic background of what's...
Yeah, but what Matthew said, I can tell you guys that I feel 20 years younger. Because I feel that, and I see this, that the energy sector here is exactly the same like Poland 20 years ago. Eskom, it was PSE at one company. They were producing, distribution, everything. So there was no trading, no international companies who wanna invest into Poland. And then they decided to change, like you are doing this now. And I was the guy who was lucky because I was at the beginning in the sector and I was observing this step-by-step changes. And we were also coal country, and we are still coal country. So you said that coal and mining industry in Poland was was important, and still it is. We are producing around 45 million coal per year, we are consuming this coal because of power production, and the production of the energy in Poland now it is 70-80% from the coal, and 20 years ago it was almost 100%. So we are still in the transition mode. It's not so fast because we are not lucky like you regarding the weather, regarding the wind conditions, solar conditions, but we are doing this. We are doing this journey like you. The only issue is that, and the only difference is that we start faster, and then let's see who is the winner. And now as I said at the beginning, I have this opportunity to be 20 years younger because I see that you wanna change it, and I'm so happy about this because I really believe that trading of electricity gives you two issues, or two things. One, you have a market and you have a transparency because you can check every day what the market thinks about the price expectations. And if you are a producer, if you are a company, you can go to the webpage and check, okay, now the price for next year is like this, for next 2 years is like this, and there is a liquidity. So I know that in case I will build a factory, this will be my price. And no, I know that there will be someone who would sell electricity. And in my opinion, we are going into this direction here in South Africa. I see that a lot of new companies, they are thinking about starting the activity here. They want to build new capacity, solar wind, because the conditions are fantastic. You want to invest into hydrogen. You want to build a lot of battery projects. So as we discussed also before, if I compare your case and Polish case, it was like with banking sector. 25 years ago, the banking sector in Poland was really slow, and there was a lot of job, or there was a lot of things to change, and there was a lot of issues to solve. But because of new technology, because of new system, new software, new development, at the moment, we in Poland, we have one of the most advanced banking system in Europe. This is my opinion. And I believe that you are 20 years, compared to Poland, you are 20 years ahead of Poland. But this is not bad. Maybe this is also the opportunity.
Yeah, I very much agree. And that's interestingly, as you're speaking, that reminds me of the advice that Eskom was receiving and the government was receiving in 2017, 2018 from Boston Consulting Group. But they basically said, I had a good chat with them, and they were advising Eskom, how do you go about unbundling, which is the separation of Eskom into transmission, distribution, and generation, and then introduce competition where your independent power producers, the IPPs, will provide then your electricity to your Eskom transmission system. And now that's actually happened. We have the National Transmission Company of South Africa, NTSA, which is unbundled and is now legally separated from Eskom generation and distribution. And the IPPs are able to provide power directly to the transmission system operator. So this is now what Boston Consulting Group was saying, is that thankfully there's a well-worn path. That was like actual quotes that was given to me. There's a well-worn path for how to transition from a incumbents owning the entire sector from the government to then a democratized sector. And it's from Europe that we'll be able to see how to do it, and we'll be able to then follow the steps in an accelerated way. So we're hoping, you are correct, we're about 20 years behind where Europe is and where Poland is. And we are hoping to get to where Poland is in about 8 years. So we're on a fast track, and it remains to be seen how that goes. There's a lot of things need to happen first. Legislature needs to be changed. Now that has been changed with the spinning out of Eskom, then the market needs to be opened to the IPPs come on board. This hasn't quite happened as yet. The transmission system operator hasn't created the market where you could just provide electricity. So that's coming, but we're on the same journey that Poland has gone through. So thankfully, also then we have expertise coming to the country that can help us.
Okay, I'm sorry. Maybe you could tell a bit more about how the country has opening its doors for IPPs to come in so far. What have been the challenges, and what does it look like in the road ahead?
Great. So the way that South Africa started with its first renewable energy projects in South Africa, it was titled the Renewable Energy Independent Power Producer Program. So it's a long Eustism REIPPPP, but we had bin windows, and so it's become like colloquially known as bin window 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we're on bin window 7 at the moment. So what that looked like is bin window 1 was going to the markets and telling producers, independent power producers internationally, please come and build a solar or wind farm here. It's an open tender, so anyone can participate. Any public entity, any foreign entity, anyone, please come and give us a price of how much electricity will cost from your solar wind farm, and we will then compared to the price of electricity you'll provide to us. And then they had an initial like 400 megawatts that could come down, and then beyond that, then there was 600 megawatts and 800 megawatts, and then Renault 5 kept on increasing in scale. But the unfortunate aspect of that, it was still providing electricity to Eskom at a set price. So it was from the get-go, this is now going to Eskom, and then Eskom will then distribute that power. And so it wasn't an unbundling, it was just a kind of IPs providing power directly to Eskom as a whole, not to the different entity, which is Eskom transmission. So what happened then, unfortunately, is the initial costs of electricity to Eskom was very expensive. And what I mean by that, if the cost of electricity was 1 rand per kilowatt hour at the time that Eskom was producing and providing to a consumer, they were getting electricity at 320 or 360 per kilowatt hour from the independent power producer at the point of the solar farm or wind farm. Never mind all the transmission and distribution expenses. So it ended up actually costing Eskom quite a lot of money in terms of the expenses. It was up to a third of the entire expenses. One point was for this renewable energy that was coming through the bin windows. And it was part of our narrative that we were providing that we are starting to transition. We're going away from being 100% coal and we're going towards now 80% coal. At the moment, we're still about 90% coal, but we're now thankfully accelerating. So now we're moving away from these bid windows. But the latest one is bin window 7. And one of the big challenges that we've noticed in the last 3 bid windows is that it's surfaced that we have grid capacity constraints. And we heard a little bit from Marek off camera that there is similar experiences happening in Poland, but it's very severe in South Africa. So what that means is where you can put down wind resources in Western Cape, there's not enough transmission capacity to transmit that power up to the middle of the country where it's mostly used. And we have our industrial hub in the center, pretty much upper part of inland South Africa. And unfortunately, in the last 3 bid windows, it was provided that half of the power could come from solar and half from wind. But actually, when it came down to it, there was a whole bunch of wind submissions, but none of them got awarded because there's no capacity from pretty much the half of South Africa down. So there's only solar that's been awarded in the last 3 bid windows, and that gives an insight into kind of the issues and the challenges that we're experiencing, that we first need to upgrade our transmission system to allow for wind power to come on, and then the wind power can come on. And until then, we're pretty much stuck with only solar in South Africa.
Matthew, what are the predictions? How long will it take to upgrade the grid to get better capacity in Northern Cape?
So yeah, it's over. They've got a 10-year plan. So over 10 years, they plan to spend 390 billion rand. So if I was to put that into dollars, that looks like $20 billion in terms of money that must go in, and they don't have money. So Eskom and the government both say, and I believe it to be true, they don't actually have reserves. So it needs to be coming from international companies. So I'm very happy to have the presence with me now, international companies that are interested in investing into South Africa. It needs to come from American companies and European companies and countries where there's a PPP, a private-public partnership for building infrastructure where everyone wins, where the private entities that are participating, they win because they get revenue from the participation, and then the public entity Eskom wins because they get infrastructure put down on the country, which helps then for wind to come in. So it is 10 years. It is a kind of almost linear integration from now to then. It's not like it just goes and then all of a sudden you've got all of your capacity. So from now until 10 years time, where they see will actually now have enough capacity to anyone that wants to put down power it can be accepted. It's a 10-year process, and that gives an indication for the struggle that we're going to be having over the next 10 years, where as soon as the capacity comes online, then everyone jumps in, and all the foreign entities are like, I want this, for my solar farm there in the Eastern Cape. We've heard the Northern Cape and Eastern Cape currently have no capacity. So as soon as they open up, then we can get them in.
So what you said about these PPP projects, and then that it's very expensive. So you need to cooperate, you as a country, you need to cooperate with private companies. And also we discuss that we are partially similar as a countries. I can tell you the story from Poland and from my first company. It was Alpic now. They decided, together with Poland, to build the line between Krosno and Lemeszany. It is on the southern part of Poland. And it was exactly the same case, yeah? We will build the line, we will invest this partially, but as a, I would say, as a reward, we would like to have some capacity. And it was a fantastic project for country and fantastic project for Alpic. And at this time, I would say it was also great because it was 1995, the first probably discussion. Poland, for Swiss, it was like a wild world. And then someone in Atel at this time was brave enough to say, okay guys, situation will change. We need to invest money because there will be, they want to develop this energy, energy market in Poland. So this is a good place for us to invest, and we don't need to, we don't need to be scared. So let's invest money together with state. Let's build the line and let's help them. And at the same time, let's have some profit. And it was great project. So what you said about transmission problems, we have the same issues, and we had, but we have the same cases with cooperation between private companies, private business, and the state, and it works. So I'm sure it will work here.
Great. And you had also previously mentioned that there was a time when wind power was cancelled or stopped.
Yes, it was in 2016. The government said change the rules. Long story short, you need to have quite long distance from your, not from your, but from the houses. So it was impossible to build the wind because every wind turbine was close enough, according to this rule, to some house, yeah, and then you cannot build this. So what happens? We as a country, we built a lot of solar because with solar it was easier. And at the moment, Poland has 21,000 megawatt installed capacity, solar capacity, and only 10,000 wind. Situation has changed, so now we are more flexible, and now we have new projects which are under development, and the wind is slowly growing. We will build also, and not even build, but we will produce first megawatt probably next year from offshore wind farm, which is also big project, a lot of money, a lot of investment. But I would say this is something nice also to observe, to be part of this. And the solar is 21,000, what I want to say, and consumption during summer 24, 25, 26 in the peak hours. So you can imagine that what is the issue for the TSO when you have 21,000 solar and you have coal production, which is similar to this, and then during the day you need to reduce this production to really minimum, and then around 6, 7, 8, you need to start it, and it's not easy. So as a country now, we are building more and more gas turbine, and to have flexibilities. And also we decided as a country to build more batteries, which are probably some kind of solution for this solar, let's call it problem. It's not the problem, but solar issue or solar challenge, because you will have more time to increase the production of the coal, and then probably the price will go down. But at the moment, for example, the prices for today, it's the price, as I said also at the beginning, the price is a signal. And even if you are not expert of, you are, but if you are not an expert of energy, you can go to the web page, which I told you. You can check the price. Every hour you have a different price, and then it's easy for you to understand what's going on in the system. And the price in Poland around at 1 p.m. was 5 Polish zloty, which is €1. The price at 7 or 8 p.m. was almost €200. It's for today.
Wow.
So, this is extreme situation. I'm not saying that this is a daily scenario, but yes, today, because the price was yesterday, because it's for today. And the price, which is was yesterday 5 zloty, because a lot of wind, not only in Poland, but in Europe, and we are connected. So everywhere there is a lot of wind, the price is going down. And in my opinion, we will have the same case, and it will be more and more regular during the summer. So we will have a lot of days when the price is not even 5 zloty, but sometimes it's negative.
Interesting.
And a negative price for us 10 years ago, in case someone will tell me, Marek, you will have negative price. That's impossible. I am producing energy and then I need to pay for this. But this can be also case for you. Not now, but
it's coming.
If I observe the prices on the SAPP market, which is a platform like a power exchange, it's a power exchange, for not only for South Africa but for the region. I would say now it's visible. This issue is visible, that you have more and more solar, and what you said, there was no wind, and you can go to the web page, check the price. Okay, I see, there was no wind.
Marek, so you just mentioned again about trading, or locally known more as wheeling. Can you explain to the audience, just in layman's terms, what does this really mean? What does the power exchange look like?
So I would say that it's not easy to explain this in a few words, but I would say it's like, maybe it's silly what I will tell, but when I have a discussion with my friends, colleague, and they are not from energy sector, they are asking me, what is the trading? Can you explain how it's possible to trade with electricity? And I am telling guys, it's like with potatoes. We in Poland, we love potatoes, so it's easy to explain, and you can go to the market and buy potatoes from the trader, and you wanna eat potatoes every day, so you go to the market once a week, you buy potatoes, and you don't care whether they are potatoes, there is a winter, summer, you have potato every day, you are happy because you have lunch. So with electricity, we are, the same kind of trader who is taking the risk, because we are taking the risk. We are buying electricity from the producer. We are giving you fixed price as a producer. And then you know that for now, the price will be X. For next year, the price will be Y. In 2 years, it will be Y plus or minus 5. But you know this, and you can do forecast. It's easy for you to hedge the coal, hedge gas, whatever, to do the budget for longer period. And we are taking the risk because we, when we buy from you, we sell to the customer, and this is our role to balance this risk and to deliver energy to the customer. And this energy should be really cheap, because customer, or cheap, it should be fair price, not always the cheapest, but for customer, it's not important whether there is a sun or wind or there is a failure or maintenance. They don't care. And this is how it should be, because they shouldn't worry about this. They should have electricity all the time. Yeah. And we as a trader, we are giving them this freedom and this chance to decide, okay, this price is good. Now I am producing, I don't know, cars. Yeah, I am selling cars. If the price of electricity is X, then this business makes sense. So I can sell, and we are between, we are balancing and all these things. But this is one part of this activity. But what we are doing, first of all, we are analyzing data, consumption, production. It's not only for next day, for next week, next month, next year. So analyzing the data, and we are doing forecast. Okay, now we expect that new power plant will be online. What will be the impact? We are checking the cost of the coal, the cost of CO2. What will be the price, theoretical price? Because we don't know the price, but we can expect. And we are doing this every day. We are doing forecasts. And of course, you don't know what will happen. And there is a day that, like a few years ago, it was a quite crazy time because of the war between Ukraine and Russia. Nord Stream 2, there was some incident, and Nord Stream 2 is not working. So you can imagine what happened with the prices. It was a crazy. But you have a trader, yeah, and the trader is delivering you gas at the fixed price, which we agreed because we have a deal. So you as a customer, you don't care whether there are some issues or not. You need to have a gas, electricity, whatever, yeah, is energy thing. So this is what we are doing. We are giving, first of all, fixed price for a producer and for a consumer, and this and you know that it's fair, yeah.
And what does this look like currently in South Africa?
So that's the future state is coming. It's coming, but from where we are now to where we're going towards is quite a complex journey. And yeah, I've sometimes referenced what's kind of going on with Eskom and the energy sector as it's almost like the Titanic has already contacted the iceberg, and we're seeing the load shedding. So, and we're having the iceberg dotting along the side of the Titanic at the moment. So it makes me think about then the phrase, the utility death spiral, which is the international phrase for what's kind of going on here. And then locally it's called the Eskom death spiral. But before I talk about what that is, I can preface it with our current state of generation. So Marek had mentioned 21,000 megawatts of solar. We currently have from those breadwinners about 3,000 megawatts of solar coming into the country, so it's 7 times less. So that's an indicator of like we are kind of 20 years behind, and we've only got about 3,000 megawatts of wind coming on as well at the moment. And that's from the bid windows.
So 50-50, yeah.
At the moment, yes. And however, in 2022 is when we had our no more wind moments. Cyril Ramaphosa, our president, he flew back from his overseas trip to Europe to address the energy crisis that was going on where there was only power from half the day. And he said one of the things that's going to happen from the government side to address the energy crisis is we're going to increase the bid window 5 capacity from 2,600 megawatts allocated to 5,200 megawatts allocated. So we're going to get a whole bunch of renewable energy to come on board. And in theory, that 5,200 megawatts would have, if it had come the next day, would have actually directly addressed the energy crisis, and we wouldn't have had load shedding and no power for half the day.
I can't use load shedding because everyone knows for this load shedding here.
At the art.
Yes, yeah. Maybe you could also explain. Yeah, it's not strange. I mean, it's interesting concept, I say. So if you can explain.
Yes. So yes, what's taking place in South Africa, we recently had load shedding re-emerge, is the case where we don't have enough generation capacity to meet the demand in the country. And what then happens is Eskom allocates and have a schedule for which neighborhood or which city or which municipality won't have power for a certain period in the day. So it would typically look like you don't have power for 2 hours in the day, and that would happen over 3 or 4 times in the day at the worst. So you would have, I referenced load shedding stage 6 before. At stage 6, it starts at stage 1, where you'll only have no power for 2 hours of the day. Stage 2, you don't have power for 4 hours of the day. That's what it means to you as the consumer. And this is across the board. So it's not like there's certain parts of the country or certain industries that get reprieve. Every company, even airports, they get load shed, and they have to then use diesel turbines, or they have to use their solar and battery systems. So stage 6 is when you only have power for half the day during daylight hours. And we recently had stage 6 re-emerge in South Africa last weekend. So
Yes.
for the
I was here and I am here, and it was shocking for me. And then also why I ask you about this, because first of all, this is a huge problem for the economy. Especially it is visible because you go to the restaurant and they cannot work because there is no electricity for 2 hours. Yeah, so sorry, in 2 hours we will be ready, but not now. This is one thing which is visible for me. Second, if it's load shedding in the area, you see, you can feel it and you can hear it because of diesel engines. They are working everywhere. Yeah, so this is smell and sound. This is one thing. And I have some, me as a Marek, I have some medicines and I need to keep them in the fridge. So even if there is a load shedding for 2 hours, this is not the problem. But if it's stage 6, it's a more problematic because the temperature in the fridge is going up and down. So this shows that this is quite important for you as a country to solve this problem. Yeah. And I was, I didn't expect that there will be load shedding, because it was long time no load shedding in South Africa. But because of this, when it was 4 weeks ago, it was once again a return. Yeah. And I tried to find information in internet about this. I found you, and this is how we met. So this is also, the load shedding is the reason why we are here together. So it's nice. And then I can say that he was the guy who did wrote some article, and then he wrote that I am expecting that in 2-3 weeks that we will have once again load shedding, and voila, we have it. So I was really impressed. But also regarding the load shedding and the problem with consumption demand and comparison, Poland, South Africa, it was like 6-7 years ago, summer, hot temperature, crazy high temperature, like 37 for a few days, and you need to reduce the production in the coal power plants because of the temperature of the water. Yeah. And then it was something similar like load shedding in the summer. They said, now you should reduce the air conditioning in the shops. It was not that electricity was completely off, but it was, the business was forced to reduce the consumption. So we have also a little bit like load shedding cases. But as I said before, we built a lot of solar. So now summer is not the issue. It has still some challenges because of these morning hours and late afternoon hours, but during the day, not a problem.
Great. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's the issue that we're facing in South Africa at the moment, is that we're going towards being primarily solar. And what I kind of, just to end off what I was talking about with the 2022 example, when the president came back to the country, he said that we're going to double the size of the bid window 5. We're going to introduce then 5,200 megawatts onto the grid. And what ended up happening is less than 1,000 megawatts actually end up coming onto the grid, because it was revealed after all the bids were given for wind that no wind can actually come on in terms of the capacity. So it seemed like Eskom hadn't communicated to the government about what should actually be bid for, because Eskom the whole time didn't have capacity. So we don't have any wind coming on from 2022 onwards in terms of our bid windows. And this looks like then we've got currently 3,000 megawatts of wind, 3,000 megawatts of solar, and solar is now increasing going forward. And in the context of that, publicly available electricity to Eskom, we then have a lot of businesses that got solar up to 6,000 megawatts. So what that looks like is the private individuals, the private companies have actually contributed towards solving the energy crisis by investing in solar and batteries at their business property. And that's the company that I work for, IMPOWER. We do that. We do solar. It's called behind the meter. It's on the property of the mine, either solar farms or wind farm, not wind farms, solar farms, or on the roof, solar. And it's typically paired with battery because we have this aspect of electricity going out and you need to then still run it as a business during the time that you have no power.
Do you need to install battery also when you are installing solar on the roof? Is it can you install only solar or? Okay.
Yeah. So you can just do a solar only system, and that's over the last year we had 300 days without load shedding, and the government was saying, "Oh, I think it's gonna be fine. We won't have load shedding returning." And I had seen, that's part of the article that you're referencing, that we were as a nation firing a lot of diesel turbines up to 3,000 megawatts in order to mitigate load shedding returning, and we've been doing that over weeks at a time. And then I could say, okay, well, it looks like we're actually not able to meet our capacity because you wouldn't want to fire diesel. It's 10 times more expensive than coal. And so then therefore we can expect load shedding to return in Q2, particularly after the price of electricity tariffs have been confirmed from the government for what Eskom's going to get. So then load shedding returned, and now what's happening is there's a lot of interest in the energy sector in terms of solar farms and solar systems at businesses, but then also each municipality, they own their distribution network inside the municipality. So they can actually remove their reliance from the national system by getting solar generation and batteries inside their distribution network. And then they just reduce their reliance on Eskom. And that's then is coming back to the Eskom death spiral. As customers remove their reliance on the electricity coming from Eskom, Eskom then has revenue reducing and tries to increase the price of electricity. And as the price of electricity increases, then more municipalities realize I can just get a solar farm in my municipality and then also remove their revenue from Eskom, and then it just spirals to the data.
Great. So, Marek, what would you describe as being the biggest challenges now in Poland?
I would say what we discuss here, the flexibility of the system. The system is not flexible. There is more and more green energy, which is fantastic, but more, I would say more solar, more wind, and it's really important for us, for a trader, also for a producer, to have a correct forecast, because I would like to know what will be my production for tomorrow. Poland has, they changed the rules on the balancing market, and now the being in balance is very expensive in Poland. So I would say flexibility for the system, but for a producer, it can be quite challenging the forecast. It's not easy to forecast, especially solar, because we have a lot of clouds. So you need to do forecast. You have a different price of balancing market for every 15 minutes, even not 1 hour, but every 15 minutes the price can be different. And good forecast is it's an important thing. Yeah.
I'm happy you're touching the topic of forecast, because it's something that's quite essential in the platform that SolarSpy has created. And of course, we'll get into it maybe a little bit later, but everything is based on proper digital twin technology. And over the years, they've been working on refining the forecasting methodology, the AI that actually goes into this. And now as part of the roadmap, I don't know where they're standing at the moment, they will want to also link this with changes in market prices, which will be, of course, fantastic for trading. So I don't know, in South Africa, do you think that forecasting is already starting to become an essential element? Do you have to report to the operators? Because in Poland, we have to have pretty accurate already standards on how you report. Our system does this automatically, but also it can, for example, if there will be negative energy pricing, we have the facilities to remote switch off and not go into negative pricing.
Sure. That's interesting. Yeah, that makes me think about you being 20 years ahead in Poland compared to here, because at the moment, the way that Eskom can tell that there's so much solar that's been deployed on rooftops and on the grounds in terms of small solar farms and mines is they see a reduction in demand during the day when there's sun. And they compare that to when there's lots of overcast of the country, and then they see, they kind of estimate it's about 6,000 megawatts. But there's no database, there's no communication, there's no reporting. This is how much you've actually deployed behind the meter. There's no consolidated one place that the information is stored, and there's no requirements to report as yet. But what I do see going forward is there will be a need for reporting and also for forecasting. So from our example, we develop and we deploy solar farms. We technically empower. The technical term for us is in EPCOM, so it's engineering, procurement, construction, and operations maintenance company, both for solar farms that are 50 megawatts or smaller and for large scale commercial. And we will need to be able to forecast, because what's going to happen is our solar farms will be feeding into either the transmission system operator, to Eskom as a whole, or into the municipality. And we need to know what is the projected power or electricity that we'll be producing over the next week, over the next couple of days, so that we can prepare for providing that power. And also then when trading comes in, be able to know, okay, this is what we'll get in terms of the revenue for the power that we're producing. At the moment, it's a bit archaic in that we have a PPA, a power purchase agreement, that's established with one company that will pretty much purchase all the electricity from one solar farm, and you have that one-to-one. What's coming in is it's going to be one-to-many. So we have one big solar farm. It can be sold to many different companies, and then also many-to-many. So that's where the traders come in, where they go contract with many solar farms and wind farms, and then they have a whole bunch of customers on the other side that are consumers, and then they're going to be also come prosumers. So they're also going to produce their own power at their property, and then also provide power to then the trader. So there's a whole bunch of NERSA registered traders that are going to start operating in the marketplace. But at the moment, there's no trading really going on. There's just these one-to-one contracts that have taken place, and it's going to be opened up into now this democratized competitive markets, very similar to Poland, where providers of electricity will have to know how much they're actually going to be providing, so they can give their forecasts for, this is what I can provide, this is the price that I'm going to be selling it for. So the technology that is already developed in developed nations will become critical in our transition here in South Africa. So it's very, very good to have you here in South Africa, and also Marek, to have interest from Europe, from European companies to come down and help us in our just transition. So
the quality of the data, I mean, it's related also with the forecast. It's a big issue in Poland as well. Still, I mean, the quality of the data, I mean, if you have a production or customer, you have a data from a customer, you have a data from the distribution company, and then you have a data from the TSO. And now the most funny part is that the data from the consumer are X, the data from the distribution company are Y, and the data from the TSO, they are Z. And you don't know which one is correct, yeah? So this is the problem. I mean, Polish TSO is trying to build a new system. They are constantly postponing it, because it should be one data center for everyone, and one data center means that you don't need to worry whether this data are correct or not, but this is the data which we have now, and we will charge you this amount of money, because now, I mean, you don't know also, sometimes you don't know how to issue invoice for your customer because of free source of data, and all of them, they are different. So this is the data, quality of the data is quite important. I mean, we are living in a digital world, more and more digital world, but what I can say, as I said at the beginning, this is opportunity for you as a country, yeah? You know where is the problem, you know what to do, and now it's easier to I would say, to build this system, to be prepared, to be ready for this challenge. And then you can, at the end, you can be the winner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm really excited when you talk about all these EPC projects, because it's really the space that we want to move in with SolarSpot as well. The crazy intelligent guys in Poland, they created the whole PV Copilot, and it's a system that gets plugged in without any hardware. Just take the data directly from the SCADAs or inverters.
Mm-hmm.
And from the moment that it starts going through electrification, you start seeing the data. It analyzes using AI to see where there are some inefficiencies taking place. And the moment, well, the whole process in Poland, we've got the PAC and the FAC periods, that there are certificates being issued. And we're sending out drones to do inspections, but also constantly analyzing the data, figuring out where the EPC should improve, not to incur fees or penalties during the takeover. And then, of course, after this, when the certification has been completed, you have this constant analysis and diagnostics. And this is starting to sound like a pitch. I don't want this to be a pitch, but I'm really excited to see that this kind of technology is now starting to enter the market in South Africa. And I'm hopeful that it will be able to, well, I mean, of course, it has the potential of accelerating the transition, but also I think there's this one potential that people are overlooking. When you want to expand the green energy, it's not necessarily always necessary to build new infrastructure, but also just to tend to the older infrastructure, make it more efficient, understanding how to make this produce better. But Marek, you haven't said anything about green capital. Tell me a little bit, what are your aims in Southern Africa?
As you also said that you have a system which works in Poland, and you hope that, I mean, I'm sure it will work here, and we hope, I mean, I wish you that there will be enough demand here, and the market for sure you will have it. But solar in Poland works the same, yeah. So why we are here? Because we have experience in Poland. We have, I mean, we are a company who is almost 15 years. They have 15 years activity in Poland, in Europe, I would say. We have a project in countries like Argentina, Morocco, Namibia, South Africa, Tanzania. And we decided that let's, I mean, the South Africa will be our important market because of all of these stories which we discuss. And we have around, I would say, 40 projects here which we are trying to develop. Some of them they are solar, some of them they are solar and wind, some of them they are solar plus battery. So a lot of different type of projects, but at the end you need to sell this energy, you need to deliver this energy to the customers, and this is my role. Yeah, my role is to find the way, what is the best option, to how to sell this electricity, how to commercialize this energy from this asset. But I mean, for us, South African is very important market because of these changes, because of these plans, and we believe that this is an opportunity. And also, why I'm here in this company, because I mean, I had a discussion with the CEO, and he said, I mean, when I start, why I'm here, because I am involved in this Window of Life project in Uganda, and we are doing something good. But what he mentioned, that Marek, of course, I am not NGO organization, yeah, we are here for profit, but at the same time, we want to do something good. And I believe I joined this company, and we are here to do something good for us, to create a lot of projects which will help you. And at the end, yeah, I hope it will be profitable for us. So this is the plan. Simple.
Building the name of Poland in South Africa. It's not a lot of people know much about South Africa. So really happy that people like you are coming here, showing what business can look like. And
as I said about Marta at the beginning, the lady who started this project in Uganda, she was brave enough to start this, and this project works fantastic. And now this guy who decided, I mean, Michał, who is the owner of our company, he decided, okay, now I want to invest in Africa because there is a lot of opportunities. I can imagine that a lot of people thought, okay, that he's crazy. It's a crazy idea because it's far away. I mean, you don't know what will happen. And now we are here, and it's not crazy. It's a fantastic. And I hope we will, as I said, I hope we will build a lot of projects here, and then we will try to help the system. And I hope that in next few years, when I am here, because this was my wish, there will be no load shedding. Not because of the green capital, we are not the biggest company, but because of companies like green capital. And as a trader, what I can say that I love competitors, because competitors, they are giving liquidity. And as a trader, I need to have a liquidity because I need to be sure that if I have open position, I can sell it. So if we have more and more competitors, and if you and we with this podcast, if we can convince other companies, guys, be brave. This is a fantastic place. This is place of opportunities. Start here. Yeah.
Yeah, I could add to that reason why it would be a good opportunity in that we have effectively had the price of electricity double over the last 5 years. So Eskom had requested for a 36% increase this year. So they continuously have these massive increases they asked for the price of electricity. In 1 year, a 36% increase from the year before to this year they asked for. But what was awarded was 12.74%. And this is one example of this year, but this has been going on for the last 10 years. So every 5 years, the price of electricity has been doubling. And so now we're at the state where the price of electricity is very high in South Africa. So any projects that come down will be immediately profitable, and going forward will continuously be profitable. So there'll always be a market for purchasing electricity.
Yeah.
The price will be good for the electricity that is sold from the project owners, like Green Capital. We come in and we help with building the actual project, and then the future financial profitability of every project that's done is very positive. So welcome to reach out to us to chat about what the numbers look like. But it's a very good opportunity. It's one of the best that we think in the world, because an example, one solar farm putting down, the return on investment to the capital provider is 2 years. So and the sort of panels last 25 years and the inverters last 10 years. So that's a minimum 5 times plus return on investments. So that's the opportunity that exists in South Africa at the moment.
Of course, it's not so easy because we discussed the transmission problems and all these issues, but I don't want to start the whole discussion from the beginning, yeah? So, but, I mean, the situation is changing and we are more to the balance, and I'm sure, as I said, there will be more investment into transmission lines, because without this, you cannot develop green energy in Poland, Germany, South Africa, everywhere. There is a huge demand for this, and we need this. So, yeah.
Guys, thank you so much. This was such a positive note to end up for the viewers as well. And I just love all these comparisons and the similarities that you pointed out between Poland and South Africa, and a lot to be learned from this as well. So that's the end of this episode. Please like and subscribe, and till next time.
And see you in Cape Town or in South Africa,
please come.
or in Limanowa in Poland, yeah?